One of the things I really do love, and the kids love, and everybody that comes in here loves, are the stained glass windows and the statues that are here. Now, we only have 3 of the original statues that were in this church. Honestly, I don't know where the rest have gone, but St. Paul and St. Boniface and St. Patrick were all on the high altar, and they are here. Now, I remember once, today's the Feast of the Sacred Heart, whenever anybody's watching this, bringing a Protestant family that I knew into my chapel. And the first thing the kids saw was the Sacred Heart of Jesus. They'd never seen anything like this. And they went, "Oh, wow, that's gross. What does that mean?" And they were fascinated by it. Yeah, this is something about our way of creating a home, a family. A family of families is to realize that there's a very thin boundary between earth and heaven for those who are Catholic. And the saints, in the representation in the statues, tell us who we're part of. What's your understanding about statuary tradition?
That's a good question. Every person, the young and the old, when you come into a Catholic church or come into the liturgy, should say, what does that mean? This is something different. This is something, I see analogy, I see connection with my life, but this is something altogether new. So for our view of the world, Catholic, Orthodox view is a sacramental worldview. It's an icon. God creates the world good and beautiful and communicates himself through the things of this world. Okay, we don't worship the matter or the things of this world, but God can communicate to us. So he uses elements like bread and wine and water, oil. He uses stone and wood, or rather asks us to cooperate with the matter of this world, to work upon it, and to offer it back to him. And so a statue reminds us of, again, the final end of which we're called, to be holy, to be a saint. We lift up with veneration the saints. Okay, the greatest veneration we give to the Blessed Virgin Mary, but we give veneration to the saints. Why? The analogy in our home would be is when I go visit the Pennas, you come to visit my family. The first thing you come through the doors, I see, look at the picture of my great-great-grandparents.
Yes.
I see my parents, their wedding photo. Maybe they've passed on now, and you call to mind the ones that were before us, because it reminds us that my life was not my own. I did not create myself. I received life as a gift, as a grace. And also I'm part of a family, and a family of families that extends before me. It encounters me now, and also reminds me of where we're going in heaven. And so the church proposes that we have images, or we have statues, and even we venerate them, like with a swing of the incense. Even it's okay. It's okay to venerate the statue of Saint Joseph,
which means love,
to show veneration. In the same way as when I walk into your parents' home and I see their wedding photo, I go up to and I say to Jim, I say, "What a beautiful picture.
Yes.
Tell me about, how did you meet? I want to learn about your life and your love, and also I hope I can kind of love like you loved." Right? That's what veneration is, and that's more than appropriate. And is it strange? It's a little strange because we do it in such a solemn way, but it's not so strange because we venerate and we ask for the prayers and the help of people living that are good Christian people or wonderful people we meet. We go visit some of them, not even Christian. They take such great care to show the pictures of their loved ones, and I venerate their families. And in the church, in the liturgy, this is what we're doing. We're holding up to little ones and to not so little ones. These are the ones we venerate because they have been transformed by Jesus Christ. We worship Christ and we venerate the ones that are the friends of Christ.
The other image that is often seen in churches, and increasingly in our Western churches, is the icon. Now, an icon is not painted, it is written with great prayerfulness, deliberation, because the icon is understood as an image of a mystery beyond, so that you meet, that's what the word ikon means, is that it is the image, but only an image through which you discover the mystery that is beyond it. I like to see the church building itself as an icon of the divine, Christ Jesus at work in the world. In so many ways, it is written with care and with prayer. From the windows that show us how we understand the world, color streaming through, so that the light of God streaming through the creation that is around us gives to creation a beauty that if you just didn't have any light, you wouldn't see. You didn't have the light of God, and that goes for people. The often cruciform shape of the building. Everything in the church is a deliberately written work of art that always calls beyond it. The church does not say, just look and wow.
Mm-hmm.
Any beautiful church refers to God.
It is a help, it's an aid, it's something that helps us go with and through to something higher, but it's also God from on high communicating with and through to us.
Yes.
So the sense of, if you will, mediation, which is always the real question here. Our sacramentals, the statues in particular way, or the crucifix, the sacramentals of the church, are proper icons. They communicate through and with them in a way, help us here and now. They point us to holy water points us back to our baptism. It reminds us to renew again what was first received in baptism, right? And to receive grace when we cooperate with it in a very real way. The stained glass windows, example. This is more in the Latin tradition and in the Northern European tradition, we have stained glass. Sure, in the East, the icons became obviously prominent, and the iconostasis as a window, a way in which we see through from earth into the things of heaven, and heaven pours forth into the things of earth. That's what happens in the Eastern liturgy. In the Latin tradition, stained glass or colored glass with artwork and so forth became really, in many ways, the icons of the physicality of the church. Why? It's a powerful image. As we talked about the origins of the basilica or the early churches, is to let light in. Let light to come through the windows, come in and inform. And actually the play of colored glass and even the light bouncing between columns and so forth. If you come into these churches that have beautiful stained glass and you have columns and your eyes are being led up through the apse, through the Holy of Holies, if you squint your eyes, it feels like you're in a forest. It's very organic, okay? You have the columns even are like trees, right? You know, like the man born blind when Jesus in the Gospel of Mark heals him. I saw trees walking, right? It's not static, it's living, it's breathing. The liturgy and the sacraments are live. There's a reason why we're not allowed to have fake plants in the sanctuary.
Right.
The sacraments and the church is a place for life. It's a place for growth. It's a garden. It is a place where light comes in. And the stained glass, I've heard it explained once, is quite fascinating too, because it's an image of even the gospel in the world. See, stained glass is made almost exclusively to be facing inwards, right? So the light from God is shining through, the light from the sun into the church. When you're in the church, when you're close to Christ, when you're celebrating these sacraments, the liturgy, beautiful colors. We can make out the images in the windows, right? The flip side of it is, by their design, on the outside, sometimes they seem kind of dark and strange.
Yes. Yes.
Because
from the outside, you can't see what's. You have to be inside to see.
It's part of the struggle of evangelization is, right, yes, to make a beautiful place like this church, but also to go people preach out inside and bring people into the church
so they can
see the beauty.
Yes.
This is a great image for who the church is. So yes, the church should be beautiful, and the interior life of a Christian is very beautiful too. As light comes in, it transforms us. It brings us life. It feeds us. But we also get sent out. We also have to leave this place and go and proclaim the beauty of what we received in the church with joy and bring others into the life of the church.
One of the things that is important in the writing of an icon or in the building of a church is prayer. And I have a profound sense that what we are doing here is very much God designing this place through us. We're not just arbitrarily picking images. We're not just doing with design consultants or interior designers sort of something that will make us feel beautiful. We're doing it in the presence of God so that this place might be, as an icon, a gift of his revelation to us. Small, and yet as wonderful as all that is. And I think that that is something that makes this project different than building a house or building a road or developing a theater. God is the architect. He's the one who is at work in our lives. And we want this place to express that. That's why in good churches, the artifice of man is hidden. What do I mean? That when you walk into a church, there isn't like the sense of a people saying, we built this, look at us. Mm-hmm. You find that even in the most amazing structures that have been on the world, the Gothic cathedral, they hide all their human manufacturing that allowed them to build tall walls. They hide them outside. Instead, they create, you talk about a forest, this image of nature that is now understood from the inside of one who sees it with the eyes of God as being a multiple play of light and of columns and of trees. And in fact, they deliberately, in Gothic churches, don't make things symmetrical. You look at something and say, oh, that's even, and look at the proportionality there. Look closely. It's like nature. As two snowflakes don't look the same, neither do those two pillars.
12 apostles are not the same. And
12 apostles.
You and I, we're not exactly the same.
Different parishes are not the same.
One body,
Amen.
But the members are distinct and beautiful. So the saints and our church, each one of us by our baptism, it's like light through a prism. It's unique, and there's a play, but there's a unity, even if there's a plurality of ways of following Christ. But there's one light. There's the one that illuminates us and fills us with life is Christ. And so it's beautiful. It's very organic. There's a unity in our church, and there's a connection. We're not walled off from the world, but it's actually it's a prism in which the world, when we come into it, can see all the beauty that is in the world, but it's enhanced and it's elevated in the most profound way.